Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of my game dev diary for my Roguelike project. So what I was doing from the last video was to try and make sure that the spikes and items wouldn't overlap each other when they were spawned. So I've added in more items here just to show you that they don't overlap, and I'll show you the code on how that was done now. But it took a while to figure out, but it's just kind of a similar check to make sure that they don't spawn in front of the doors. So it's just something similar now, so I'll show you it, but you can see that none of the items spawn on top of each other, and then it still remembers if they've died when you leave the room and come back. So let's close that and close this. Still in S2D2, what I've done is split the 5 dungeon list events into 5 different bits of code, so hopefully when I change it it's not quite as laggy. So in the stairs to dungeon part, rather than just the one event it was doing, which is we've got do it 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 in S2D2, which corresponds to this one is for dungeon list 1, this is for 2, 3, 4 and 5. These two here were just the original ones. I just didn't want to delete them just yet, just in case these don't work just as quite as I thought they would work. So it's just to have a backup really. They're unticked, so that means they don't run when you run the game. So I'll just show you how the bit of code that does that that makes sure that the items don't spawn on top of each other, how it works. So when do it 1 happens, set items number saver to 0, set the active dungeon list to dungeon list 1, and then repeat 5 times as always, because there's 5 possibilities for the rooms, and then this part here checks whether there is a room in the active dungeon list, and then this is why there's so many items being spawned in the first rooms, because it's between 10 and 30 items. So we'll set it between 1 and 5 now, because it was just to show you that they don't actually overlap. So between 1 and 5 items we will spawn, and then repeat that random number of times. Repeat random number of times, that's going to repeat how many times that there's going to be items. So set item number saver to item number saver plus 1. That's so that the spikes or the monsters or whatever will have numbers as well. So add, that's numbering, it's the item number bit, that's the type, and then we're saying is X and Y okay to true, and then while X and Y okay is equal to true, so this will keep doing this while loop will keep going as long as X and Y okay is equal to true. So first of all we set it to false, so we're saying go in here and set it to false, and then we will flag it up as true if certain conditions happen. So we set random nx to a number between what we wanted to spawn in X, random my between a number we want to spawn in Y, and then we'll just check by repeat number of times that are in this active room, and the active room list is the one we're trying to populate with items. -2 because it's already got 2 items here, the item number and the item type. Divided by 4 as there's 4 numbers per item. So it's going to check each and then set just CCC I said for the counter times 4, so that means that we'll be looking at each item and each time we're in this loop. And then if random nx minus 32, so plus 32, if that's greater than the x of the something previous, then we want to make sure that the rnx is also rnx minus 32, it's less than that, so that pretty means it's spawning on top of each other in the x numbers. And then we do it the same for y, so rni plus 48 greater than, and this is the y in the active room list, and if it's also rni minus 48, if it's less than that, that means that yes, you are spawning pretty much on top of something or close to something. So set x and y OK to true. And what that means is that, I'll go down here, but what it means when it comes back up to evaluate this, it will be true, so it'll go through it again. So we flagged it to say, okay, we're going to spawn it on top of something, which we don't want. So go through this again and set a different R and X and R and Y. So it's a way of checking through the list to make sure that we're not spawning on top of something. And also then it comes here and checks to make sure that it's not spawning in front of the door. And rather than just moving it like we did in the last iteration of the code that you've seen, we're just saying if it is spawning in front of a door, set X and Y OK to true, or this variable to true. And then when it comes down here, then it'll say if it is equal to true, okay, we need to do this whole process again with a different R and X and different R and Y. And then once it finally gets through here without flagging X, A, Y, OK to true, once it gets through and it's not true, then it sets R and X to the active room. So that's a bit of code to make sure that nothing spawns on top of anything. And then this is this bit of code for the spikes, so it's the environment spawning that I showed you in the last video. It's exactly the same, all we've done is add in this X and Y OK bit. So, and then this is just for, once it gets down to the bottom and it's done all the items, then it sets the game attribute, the global variable, to the active room, and then empties the active room. And it does it for dungeon list 1 here, dungeon list 2, 3, 4, and dungeon list 5. So what we want to do now then is we have two different spike animations. So we want to create a dungeon with has the two different spike animations, so get that programmed into the game. And then I think pretty much once that's done, it's pretty much to get the monster spawning. And then once the monsters are spawning in, then it is just simply have a goal for the dungeon. So maybe I think this one might be just hit a switch to start off with, and then hopefully you'll be able to get it out to you guys to be able to play as a demo, and then we'll take it from there and see what we want to build into the game. So I said that we were going to spikes, that's what it was, and then make the spikes hurt the player, so start to bring in the health system too. So we have two different appearances for the spikes. So we want a spike behavior, so I don't think we have a spike behavior yet. So actor behaviors / behavior / no, and spike behavior. So if there's something you don't understand or you'd like me to clarify about the item spawning or the making sure they don't overlap, just give us a shout in the comments or on Twitter, and I'll do my best to clarify it for you. So we kind of want to copy what we have in the barrel behavior. So, because there's two different animations, so copy this, add event, updating, wasn't it? I think it was. Just go back and check. It is. Come on. Yeah, there we go. I only have two animations, so get rid of these. Sorry about the sniffing again. I really am going to try and stop. Come on, hurry up and delete, please. Stop being slow. There we go. And we need... Do we need this? Do we need this? Why do we need this? No, you're not able to kill the spikes, so we don't need that. And we need set any switch equal to false. So basics one created. Set any switch equal to false. Animation type needs to be a not hidden attribute. Sweet, that is good. And we need to call the spikes A1 and A2. Okay, all good so far. And then we want to probably just attach the player damage if the player hits a spike. So we'll do that. We'll try and add I think we need to make the hearts sensors. Yeah. So if we add the health behavior, the heart behavior to the scene, and spikes behavior, well, you can't walk over spikes at the minute, so that's also something that we need to. Was it enemy touch? What do we call it? That was a good few episodes ago now. Enemy touch attack, yeah. And we'll say damage to do 1. So we just need to let the sensors, and that might be okay. Just want to make sure that the enemies don't walk over spikes, that if they do hit them, then they just change the direction of their wander. So might have to come back and change this later, but I think this should allow the player to walk over spikes but get hurt. So fingers crossed we have what we're looking for. No, we won't. That won't work. What we need to change then is the item dungeon spotter. What we need to do is for last set in, it's not barrel behavior, it's spike behavior, you see, and it's animation type. We don't need that, so I think we can remove. And we can remove this too. Remove. And then I think we can give it a go. So yeah, we should see 2 different types of spikes now, and once we walk over the spikes, it should hopefully hurt us. And then I think we can go on to, well, I'll have to find some spikes first. Then we can go on to I forgot to add the hearts. So see if we can find a different type of spike. Oh, it's a lot of spikes without fast unexpected behavior. One behavior do not assist player health. Well, that's to do with the fact that we haven't seen behaviors. No, when you go to scene, dungeon, and attach the health hearts behavior. Health hearts. Was that one of the first ones we did, and it hasn't been used? And can't remember how long ago now. At least a week. So the game's getting a bit bigger. It's taking a wee while longer to compile. Hope that doesn't really impact in later episodes. Might have to start planning when I am. Well, that's not good. Why did that happen? Because we had 2 windows open. Brilliant. Really need to start paying attention more. So yeah, hopefully the game doesn't get too big, so it doesn't, so that when we just want to play it, it doesn't take forever, because that would be annoying. I'm very much like trying a bit of code and seeing if it works, and then trying a bit of code and see if it works. So the hearts are there anyway. So hopefully we walk over the. And it did hurt us. Cool. So it is hurting us, but we can't walk over them, which is a bit weird. And why can't we walk over them? And why is there not switching? So spike behavior. I switch to false if animation equals 1. I bet you I know what it is. If we go to S2D2, I have to change this null. Maybe it won't be, maybe it did. 13 and 14, that's why. Spec behavior. If animation type is no, it's bigger than what was that? Was that 1? 1, yeah. You need to be 13 and you need to be 14. So that gives us our 2 spikes. Let's go to spikes, sensor, and then I think it'll probably be collision types. Edit groups. Oop. Why have we a blank group? Name. Items. And you whoa, why is it being weird? You can't call it items. Okay, item group. This is weird. Not liking the way that's blank. What's barrels? Or barrels? Barrels should be an item too. Well, it shouldn't be too hard to sort out. I should be able to get it where I can walk over. Items group, that's fine. Spikes items group. And it's a sensor. It's a sensor. So that means you should be able to walk over it. But it shouldn't actually collide with you. So it says, yeah, you have collided, but it shouldn't stop you from walking over it. So it's a bit strange. So we'll give it another try, but we'll definitely this time should be able to see 2 different types of spikes. Or no types of spikes. I think I broke it now. Why? We have no spikes. Why do we have no spikes? So I don't want to end it on a bad note. I want to end it on a good note. I want to have spikes. Just one more. Oops. Well, what happened there? Okay, so S2D2. No, you're fine. I think. I don't know. Frame. Number between 13 and 14. So item spawner. Animation type to item type number. That should, I think, be working. It's less than 14. For last code, yeah, I said animation type 2. And if we go to spec behavior, if animation is greater than 1, why isn't that working? So frustrating. Give it another go. Maybe we're just extremely unlucky and just didn't spawn any spikes. Doubt that, but you never know. Maybe we need to set the number, the hidden number to something. I just don't think it's spawning spikes at the minute. At all. Oh, it is! We do have spikes. Can we walk over them? Yeah, we can. But I want the spikes to be below us. Cool. Awesome. And it takes our health. But we want to be above the spikes. So have to start adding layers, I think. Maybe that's not something that can, well, all it means is that we always spawn the player character to the front, I think, because there shouldn't be too many layers, I don't think. So yeah, it seems to be good. except that we're not spawning the empty heart vessel. So that's something we want to look at too, is spawn when we get a room. We just don't want to say that we have half a heart. We want to show that how many hearts are empty. So another thing to add to our to-do list. So we might look at that now, and then on to the monster spawner, and on to making sure the layers are right so our player character walks over the spikes rather than under the spikes. So I think I'm going to wrap it up here. If you have any suggestions for the game, or would like me to clarify anything, please drop a note in the comments section. Until next time, see ya.